What is the crack, guys? Hope you're all well. This is Finding Yourself, the podcast series dedicated to movie, TV, sports, and gaming. I'm your host, Cal Duffy, and in today's video, I kind of wanted to do a continuation of a video I put up, I think this week or this past week. I talked about 3 different movies in 2021 that I absolutely loved and totally recommended that you go see. And at the end of that video, I kind of briefly mentioned 2 TV shows that I fell in love with and binge watched over 2021, and those were Dopesick and Officer Family. And I wanted to take today's video to kind of dive deeper into them and discuss some other movies I went to go see this year that were underwhelming. I was able to get to the cinema a lot more this year. I was reviewing a lot of movies on CRC FM. I have a segment on there where I talk about different movies and TV shows that I'm passionate about, and I give reviews on them as well. So I was in the cinema a lot this year, and there were some movies that I went to go see to review, and there was also a few movies I went to go see with my girlfriend Leanne and on my own for my personal pleasure as well, that were just underwhelming and didn't quite hit the mark for me, in my opinion. So I want to talk about them on this video as well. I hope you all enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up. It always helps me kind of realize and figure out what kind of content is working on this YouTube channel. I have some major plans for the YouTube channel going forward into the new year. I want to buy a camera so I can make actual videos instead of just recordings, and I'm really looking forward to that. But again, it always helps me figure out what kind of content is working on the YouTube channel, because I don't want to be posting up shortened clips of the podcast episodes and leave it at that. I want to explore kind of different content ideas in my YouTube channel, so hopefully this is one that you enjoy. So let's get into it. The first show I want to discuss is the miniseries Dopesick, which is available up on Disney+. It stars a very talented cast, including Michael Keaton, Peter Skarsgård, Caitlin Dever from Booksmart, Will Poulter, Rosario Dawson, and Philippa Sue from Hamilton. This miniseries kicked my ass. It really did. Every episode was so enthralling, and there wasn't one moment in the miniseries that you got bored or they lingered too long on one character or one story arc. They paid everything enough attention that you didn't feel anything was missing in the finale. There's so much I could dive deep into in this miniseries, but I think I want to save that for maybe a podcast episode down the line. So I want to focus on 1 or 2 things in this video that just blew me away. First off, the performances in this were amazing in my opinion. Will Poulter really stood out for me. I think Will Poulter in the last few years has really proven his worth as an actor, especially in movies like The Revenant, the Maze Runner franchise. He was great in those, and the movie Detroit. So to see him flex his acting chops in this as well, so satisfying. And he pulled off a great performance as Billy Cutler, a pharmaceutical sales rep who was responsible for pushing the drug on doctors to prescribe to patients. Again, this miniseries is so intense, so hard hitting, and possibly triggering in areas. I can imagine if you do have some kind of personal experience with addiction or opioid addiction in your family, you'll find this series quite triggering, because there is points in this series where you want to grab characters by the scruff of the neck and just throw them around the room, because it makes you awful mad seeing what the pharmaceutical companies did to certain people pushing this drug. And at every turn, when they had a chance to pull the drug off the market, when they realized that it was addictive, it was causing crime to spike and addiction rates to spike, they ignored it and just upped the dose and fudged the numbers and the science behind the addiction rate of the drug. It was just so triggering to watch, and I don't have any personal experience with addiction. I was still so angry watching this. You can't help but be angry, but it is educational. I found it educational because I wouldn't have known the full extent of the opioid crisis in America. I'm not from America, I'm from Ireland obviously, so I wouldn't have known the extent of it. So to have a miniseries like this that you can look back on and watch through to kind of educate yourself is valuable as well. I would definitely recommend watching Dopesick if you haven't already. For the performances alone, this series is bingeable. I would just say, if you do have personal experience with it, it is quite triggering, but overall it is such a good show. Every episode hits hard. There's not one episode or one stage during this TV show that I fell off it or I found boring or I thought that they lingered too long on certain areas. everything is given equal attention, and I wasn't hungry for anything else at the finale. I was satisfied. So again, I love to know your opinions. If you have seen this show, leave me a comment on the video. Let me know what your opinion is. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you excited to watch it? And if you did love it, I'd love to know what aspect you enjoyed most about it. Dopesick, definitely worth a watch. Before I move on and talk about F is for Family, I want to briefly touch on one or two movies I saw this year that just didn't live up to the hype, in my opinion, and fell short of the mark. The first movie is Halloween. The Halloween franchise seems like it's a never-ending franchise. I think they've written Mike Myers as a character that can't die. He's protected by some kind of otherworldly force. And when the first movie came out, if anyone remembers, the way they kind of marketed that was that Mike Myers almost wasn't human. He was the living embodiment of evil. And the whole theory and the whole idea around Mike Myers being unkillable is that you can't kill evil. Evil will always survive. Evil will always be around us. So in that way, Mike Myers can never really die. Because if they did kill off Mike Myers, which they have tried to do in past movies and kind of move on to a different character, it just doesn't work. And I think they saw that it didn't work when they killed him off for a movie and they focused on a different storyline. I think they realized that that's our bread and butter. So I'd say the one note they have for every movie is keep Mike Myers alive, because it makes no sense for us to kill him off. But the problem with that approach is it just becomes unbelievable to the point where it becomes funny. And that's something you never want in a horror movie. I don't know if anyone thought this when they saw this movie. Let me know if you did. But when I saw this movie in the cinema, I was laughing more than I was afraid. And that's big for me because I'm an absolute bitch when it comes to watching scary movies alone. That's why I brought Leanne with me. But all I kept on thinking during this movie was, he's 70 years old. How is he surviving this? How is he surviving a fire at the start of the movie? Surviving multiple stab wounds and run-ins with different people trying to kill him. Because in Halloween Kills, they decide to flip the script and have Mike Myers be the hunted one. The town decide to band together and kill him once and for all. And I found that a very unique take on the plot and very entertaining. But it was still out there and so ridiculous at the fact that this 70-year-old is basically killing half the town and no one can seem to kill him. But I could do with all that if I knew there was a conclusive end to this movie, because I didn't think they would prolong this franchise any longer than this movie. It seemed like the movie was leading up to a final confrontation where Mike Myers is finally killed. You know, they're going to end it once and for all. This was the movie to end it on, in my opinion, because it's such a unique way to write the movie. You know, you have the town finally hitting back, standing up for themselves. This is the final confrontation, it seems, to snuff Mike Myers out once and for all. But they pussy out last minute. They just throw it away last minute and have Mike Myers survive a fight with basically 15 members of the town who go at him with baseball bats, knives, crowbars, everything. There's honestly one point in the movie where I just shouted out, decapitate him, because that's the only way you could kill Mike Myers. Just separate his head from his body. That's the only way you're doing it. But I just found it a lazy way to end the movie. They just teased us with this ending. Oh, he's dead. No, he's not dead. You can't kill him. And I thought it was a cowardly way to end it, and selfish, to be honest, because they've got so many movies out of Halloween. They don't need another one. I don't know if they're looking to revive it altogether and bring it back, but Halloween Kills should have been the last Halloween movie, in my opinion. I'd love to know your opinion on this movie if you've seen it already. You can always leave me a comment on the video. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on both Dopesick and Halloween down in the comments. Did you go see Halloween this year? Did you think it was any good? Do you think this franchise should end? Or do you think it will ever end? And what were your thoughts on Dopesick? Did you find it as hard-hitting and triggering as I did? Did you enjoy the acting? What stood out for you in Dopesick? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. This is where I'm going to end this video, but I will be uploading a part 2 talking about other movies and TV shows that I love and hated this year. Hope you all enjoyed this video. This has been Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Thanks for listening.